Hey guys, I am so excited to share with you our curriculum picks for this upcoming year. This would be 2024-2025. And for this video, I wanted to focus on family subjects. These are some of my favorite videos to watch when I go and look for curriculum videos. I think they're so helpful because it's just nice to hear another mom's experience or another family's experience. And I think that can ultimately lead you to make your own decisions. So when I share these, it is not any type of expert advice. I don't think that I have the best picks of all time. I am only sharing it as an experience in hopes that it might inspire you and your family. So let's jump in. We're going to be focusing on family subjects in this video. If you are unfamiliar with the term family subjects, basically these are the subjects that I group all of my kids together into one. And this really simplifies our day. Next year I'll have 3 school-aged kids. I'll have a kindergartner, a 3rd grader, and a 5th grader. And then I also have a 3-year-old. It would be really difficult to try and fit in 3 separate history lessons and 3 separate science lessons and 3 separate language arts lessons. Like it's a tricky thing. By grouping us together, we can really simplify our day. If you've seen some of my videos before, some of this might sound familiar to you, but I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you guys. So we are gonna start with what we do in our morning time, or what I hope to do. Obviously, when our days start up, things might change, but this is what I have planned for morning time. So for morning time, we start out with a family devotion, and this year I picked Long Story Short. I really liked it because my kids are really starting to ask a lot of questions. I felt like it's a good time to kind of dig a little deeper into the Bible stories. If you look at this, it's set up with a story in the Bible, and it's day 1, day 2, that sort of thing. But they have all these little sections. They have picture it, think about it, talk about it, pray about it. But they let you know what you're reading in the Bible. They give you some questions to talk about and even a little prayer. So it says in here that each devotion is about 10 minutes. So I feel like that's going to be a good amount of time for us to kind of dive in, but still be good enough to keep the attention of my little ones. So I'm excited. This is a really big book. So I'm curious to see how far we make it through, but I'm looking forward to diving into that. Also, during our morning time, we do our history, and then sometimes we even do our science, or we might alternate. So that's something that I'll be adjusting as we get started with the year. For history, we're going to be working through American history through picture books. This is something that we've been doing for the last year. This is a curriculum that I write for my family, and I also share it with you guys. It has completely transformed our history learning process here at home. We have all learned so much, and it has now become one of our favorite subjects to do together. Me personally, I'm an adult and I have learned a tremendous amount, so I'm really looking forward to that. But the way that this is set up is there's a how-to guide of how to implement it during your day. There's a checklist for your books, so you can just check the books off as you read them. There's a narration process, and all of it is guided for you. There are even discussions and tips in the book lists section, so it is all there. What I love the most about this is instead of a textbook, we are reading picture books. And these are so fun, and it's especially engaging for the entire family. So even my little ones enjoy this, which makes it super easy for us to all sit down together and learn something. But this has just been a real treat. So I'm excited to kind of dive deeper. We're starting post-Civil War and going all the way to World War II. So I am really pumped about that. But that's what we will be doing for history. I aim to do about 3 to 4 history days a week, and our lessons take about 20 minutes. For science, my goal is 1 to 2 days a week. That just feels the most doable to me. At the end of the year, last year, we started this BEREAN Builders, and we're going to continue with that. I think we got through maybe almost 2 units. But I love how this is. I feel like the lessons aren't too long, and each lesson comes with a hands-on activity that my kids love. And it's usually pretty simple. I mean, there's been times where I didn't have the supplies or something, but my kids really love it, and it really makes it memorable. This year, I'm going to try and slow it down a little bit, because I found myself last year when I was trying to do a lesson in the activity every single time, it was exhausting. I got to a point where I was avoiding it. So my goal this year is to do a lesson and then maybe spend a day or 2 on a picture book related to the same topic. So Unfortunately, that means I have to sit down and plan it out. However, in the long run, if I do that for a unit, so I spend maybe 30 minutes planning out a unit, I feel like it's just a more enjoyable process and something that I'm actually going to accomplish rather than just kind of ignore science, because that's definitely happened as well. If you've never seen this book before, the lessons are set up with the hands-on activity. The lessons are not that long. While I'm reading the lesson, I have my kids do a diagram on a little half sheet of paper, and I can put a link to how we do that notebooking process, but it's super simple and it keeps their hands busy as I'm reading. And then there's some discussion questions at the end. I'll have my oldest child, she can write the answers down on her little narration page. My other kiddos can just narrate it to me orally, and I can write it down, or we might just talk about it. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. We'll just continue. I don't think we finished Unit 2, so we'll probably finish that and then just keep on going, and we'll just get as far as we can. And we'll be reading a lot of picture books alongside it, so that'll be fun to kind of just deepen the study of each individual topic. The next thing I have on my wish list for morning time is poetry. We did poetry for so long. We've read some great poetry books, and last year I just kind of like fell off the wagon with that one. I really didn't do it as consistently as I wanted to. And I love poetry. I love reading poetry to my kids because they start trying it themselves. Like they'll start speaking poetically, and they'll even try to write it. And it's just from exposure. So when they're consistently exposed, then suddenly they feel like that's something that they can do. And that's why I really like doing it. It's just kind of like a gentle approach to be exposed to poetry. Maybe talk about it a little bit, as much as you can, but really not take it too seriously. I found this book on Thrift Books. I think I paid less than $5 for it. They have multiple poets that you can choose from, but this is Poetry for Young People by Emily Dickinson. And my goal right now is just to read a poem a week. I've never done poetry where I've just focused on one poet. We've done like a variety, so this is going to be new for me, but I think I'm going to try and just read one poem a week, maybe multiple times during the week. There's a picture to go with it, and I also definitely want to throw in there a book maybe about the author. At the beginning of this one, there is a description or an introduction to the poet, to Emily Dickinson, but I think I can find some really good ones at the library as well. The reason I picked Emily Dickinson because she was a poet during the time period we're going to be studying in history, so I felt like it would be a really good connection. So this should be fun. I don't know how far we're going to get or where we're going to go, but I'm just excited to have a plan with it. The next thing I want to share with you is our picture study. I love doing picture study, and the first time I did it was probably a year ago maybe, and it turned out so much fun. And then last year I had a goal to do picture study, but I never purchased anything, and I said that I would, and I just never got to it. I think I tried to fit it in here and there, but I'm realizing more and more that if it's not right there in front of me, that I'm probably not going to follow through with it, which is why I love my picture book list for history, which is why I love my science plan where I have, the lesson in the book. And I like things to be there, because then I know, okay, I've got a plan, I can follow through with it, and I can't be lazy about it. I mean, that's just the hard fact about it. So I did go ahead and purchase a picture study through Simply Charlotte Mason. We have done 2 of her picture studies before, and they're really great. So when you open it up, you get a selection of pictures, and then it also comes with a booklet. And in the booklet, it tells you exactly what you need to do to set up the study. There is a true story about the artist, and I read it, maybe portions of it each time we look at a different painting. And then in the back, there is the actual painting, and then what it's called, and a little bit of information about it. So it's very guided in this way. And then in my schoolroom, I have a frame that I keep the one that we looked at. I would really love a spot that I could put all of his paintings, at the same time, but I don't have the space in my room. So I choose whatever one we're looking at, I put it in a picture frame, and I could show you. It's really easy. Hang on, you're gonna move. But it's just right here. See that? That picture right there. And I just put it in that frame. And then that way it's there, they can look at it until we do the next one. I have no idea how I'm gonna fit this in yet. I'm thinking it's gonna have to be an afternoon during the week. Maybe once a week is a good goal. I'm gonna take it very slow because I wanna have fun with it. I don't want it to feel like it's something that we have to do. This is actually a really fun and engaging thing for us. We really like looking at the paintings, and so I want to keep it that way. It's always fun to do like with a treat or a snack or maybe a tea. So we'll kind of play with that and see what we want to do. I forgot to mention who we were actually studying. This is Homer, and I picked it because once again, it was the time period of the history that we're studying. So I really love how these are actually connecting. And I'm wondering if maybe the portraits are going to help us. The description of the portraits will be a lot more meaningful too, if it has anything to do with that time period. So really looking forward to that. The last part of our family studies is what we do before bed. And I've done a video about that before, so I won't go into too many details. The first part of our routine is I read aloud a novel. And this is the novel that we actually use for our language arts. We read a novel, and I do not pick my novels ahead of time. I've tried that before, but then what ends up happening is we get to a certain point and then we really want to read something else. And then I'm in this like, oh, but I thought we were going to read this. So I don't pick them. I have ideas, and normally my ideas are historical fiction because number one, that's my favorite. But number two, I just have really loved history, and I love connecting it to what we're learning. But I have a few ideas in mind connected to what we're learning. And then basically we're just going to go based off of our interests. So what I think she might like, I think that's what I'm going to go with. And I feel like that's been a much more relaxed, enjoyable way to read novels together, because, and when I say she, I mean my oldest, because she's doing the most of the passage study. But it's very, it makes it when you get to the book, you actually want to read it. And so I like doing it that way. The other thing we'll be doing is our scripture memory, and we've been using this scripture memory box. We memorize one verse a month, and we review using this box. Directions and everything is all set up for you. And once again, I don't have a set of verses that I choose from. I pick based on our family's needs. So, you know, if we are wanting a verse about fear, I'm going to find a verse about fear. If we're wanting a verse about worry, I'm going to find a verse about worry. A verse about obeying your parents at some point, I'm going to find a verse on that. So I pick the verse based on what I think would be best for us at the time. And then lastly, we do our hymn study. And this is so simple, you guys. If you've ever seen this book before, there are hymns, and with each hymn comes a description of where it came from or who wrote it. And so basically at the beginning of the month, I pick a hymn and I read the description, and then we spend that month learning the first verse. And I only do the first verse. That's what seems doable to me right now. You know, it's kind of just a repeat after me until we get it, and then we just sing it together. So it's very, very simple. So this combined with this takes about 3 minutes. But, you know, we are learning together. We are experiencing scripture together and hymns together, and that's been a lot of fun. I really love the impact that it's made. And then our read aloud at bedtime is usually between 20 and 30 minutes. So probably more like 15 to 25. But yeah, that's it. That's it for our family studies. I really made a goal not to go too big. And because you know how it gets when you plan, you're like, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And I think I did okay. I added poetry, which I've done it before, so I feel like it's doable. And then I added a picture study, which I've also done that before, but I have it in very small portions. So I really think that I'm going to be able to accomplish my goals. So I'm super excited for the year. I feel really good about our choices. I also am looking forward to sharing the individual studies that my other kids are going to be doing. I have a 10-year-old who is technically a 5th grader, an 8-year-old who is 3rd grade, and I have a 5-year-old. She's a kindergartner this year. So I'm looking forward to kind of sharing what we're doing with each individual kiddo as well.